Alaska State Legislature started out this week by considering the governor's plan to revamp the permanent fund. Critics immediately called his proposal unconstitutional. Dorene Lorenz explains how the legislature will move forward.
When Alaska first hit oil, the legislature favored direct distribution of a portion of revenues to check government growth, so we wouldn't become dependent on the state and fall hard when the money ran out.
Governor Jay Hammond believed Alaskans would vigorously fight raids on their savings account if they got a PFD. He was spot on with that one.
Many people were like, politicians need to keep their dirty paws off my permanent fund. I know how to spend it better than government does.
It was a crazy, untested idea, a pioneering development for a state or national government based on sound fiscal principles.
The people who put it together originally did a real good job. $50 a year, 20 years, capped at $1,000. If we had it that way, still, we'd probably have $200 or $300 billion put away in reserves, and we probably wouldn't be having this conversation because we'd probably have a mechanism to allow us to utilize it on an occasional basis.
Hammond tied the PFD to the number of years that you lived in the state as a way to get discretionary cash into Native Alaskan villages that had a subsistence economy. With good intentions, strongly articulated and supported by the majority of state residents and their representatives, how did things go awry? Zobel. Few recognize that name anymore, but the impact of Ron and Peggy Zobel is stronger than ever. They are the reason we have $9 billion in the fund instead of $400 billion. In the early 80s, the two young lawyers sued to democratize the PFD, giving all residents an equal share of the state's oil wealth. The case stopped PFD distribution before a single check could be mailed, and the Zobels gained national notoriety as the most hated couple in Alaska.
People don't stand up and say, we disagree with you, but we respect your courage in doing this. They just get mad. And I think the Zobels have obviously touched a nerve in the community. People are angry and upset.
The Zobels case went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, where the original distribution plan was struck down as unconstitutional on a split decision. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Dorene. And while Zobels complained that the original distribution plan was unfair to Alaska citizens, in effect, the real beneficiaries of the equal amount were the people the U.S. Supreme Court called interstate travelers or people who just moved to Alaska. And the information given Monday was much of the same as what the Senate Resources Committee heard 4 months ago. It doesn't take much, a war on embargo, to swing oil demand, so it's greater than production. The Alaska State Department of Revenue said that oil prices will rise and fall, but they're trying to offer a conservative view on what to expect for oil price trends in the next 5 years.
We don't have much of a say over prices, so it kind of is what it is. And when you have volatile prices, it's difficult to predict what's going to happen in terms of prices and production. And then when you take those risks, you don't add the risks, you actually multiply them together.
Dr. Ticketsky also pointed out that the margin between global supply and demand is very slim. In the 80s, it was about 30%, and it currently resets at about 2%.